Unlike School Idol Festival, team building in All-Stars is so complex that this game fits the genre of RPG. There is so much to talk about team building that I have to separate this guide into parts. In part 1 of this guide, I'm going to cover the general rule on how to build your team. Before watching this video, you need to watch a few of my previous videos to fully understand what I'm going to tell you in this guide. The videos I need you to watch are Beating Hard Levels with Weak Teams, Tutorial on Cleansing, and Guide to Stamina Members, link in the description. Make sure you watch all of them or you may not understand everything in this video. Back in my first video on how to beat hard levels with weak teams, I mentioned that you should divide your strategies into 3 roles. One for voltage gain, one for stamina protection, and one for SP gain. Well, that is correct, but that is only good if you only aim to clear the song. Separating your team into 3 roles gives the highest versatility possible. It allows you to clear any song in the game, but it is not the optimal build if you are aiming to S-rank a song. In order to S-rank a song, you need to maximize your voltage gain as much as possible, while still maintaining your stamina so that you don't fail the life. To do so, let me introduce you to the current meta of the game, which is called the 1 strategy meta. Instead of building 3 strategies, one for voltage, one for guard, and one for SP, this build focuses on getting your best members into a single strategy, while 6 other members focus on providing support. Comparing to building around 1 strategy, the 3 strategy build is very weak. 1 strategy build provides maximum voltage output. You can choose any of the 3 colors as your main strategy, as the color doesn't matter. In this case, I'm choosing red. The main strategy should consist of 2 high appeal members and 1 healer or shielder. The high appeal member can be any type, voltage, special, skill, or even guard type. Do not restrict yourself to voltage type when choosing high appeal members if you have members of other type which has high appeal. Type doesn't always correspond to stats. Being a voltage type only makes a member more desirable to be a high appeal member, but it's not definite. For example, Blue Temptation Karin, although she is an SP type, her appeal is ridiculously high that she is one of the best scorers in the game. But for Devil Nico, even though she is a voltage type, her appeal is too low to be used as a scorer. If you want to fully understand why 1 strategy meta is so strong, you need to understand how appeal, stamina, and technique works. Appeal directly affects how much voltage you get from every node. To maximize voltage gain, members with high appeal are the best for the job. However, you don't need every single member in your team to have high appeal for maximum voltage, but only the members in your main strategy. This is due to how the mechanic strategy in this game works. When you tap a node, the voltage gained is not the only info shown. There will also be the image of a member in the active strategy appearing beside the voltage. When that happens, the appeal of the member is presented. What that really means is, the voltage gained from that particular node is calculated solely from the appeal of the member presented. That's not all. In the next node, the next member that have her appeal presented is the second member in the active strategy. And then the third node is the third, but the fourth node goes back to the first member. This is because there are only 3 members in the strategy. Let's rewatch that for reassurance. These are the strategy I'm using and their members. Note the color of the strategy. Here's an example. First, I present the appeal of the first member in the red strategy, which is Ellie. Then, I present the appeal of the second member in the same strategy, Umi. Next, I'm going to switch strategy and see what happens. After switching strategy, the appeal of the first member in the green strategy is presented in place of the third member of the red strategy, and the next node will present the appeal of Nozomi. And then the appeal of Chika. Adding up with the 2 members in the red strategy that already have their appeal presented, a total of 5 members have their appeal presented. But what if I only stay in the same strategy for the entire song? That means only the members in the active strategy will have their appeal presented. The appeal of the members in other strategies will no longer matter. This means other members in your team can be as bad as you want as long as you have 3 very good members in your main strategy. You can still S-rank most songs. A reason why 1 strategy meta is so good is because you can focus all our resources on upgrading the members in the active strategy. Another reason is the sideline cannot be filled with support members. Most members with good supporting skills have weak stats, but because their appeal no longer matter in this 1 strategy meta, They become highly valued as their low appeal will not cause the team to become weaker while providing great boost to members in your active strategy. Supporting members are any member that can provide any type of boost to your main strategy. If a member is not in your active strategy, she cannot activate her life skill. However, her passive and active skill can be activated regardless of her strategy. How good a supporting member is depends on her passive and active skill. Typically, you always want your supporting member to boost the appeal of your main strategy. The best support in the game is the passive skill that increases appeal of every member in the team. This is restricted to only UR members. If you have any of those, they are always good to be used in the sidelines. Only a few URs in the game have this passive though. There are more variants to this passive. One of it is boosting members within the same strategy. It is the best passive for members in the front line, otherwise it is completely useless. For example, Archer Umi is good because she is a frontliner and her passive makes her even better, but even though Devil Nico has the same passive, it is completely useless because she is too weak to be put in the main strategy. You never want this variant for your support members. The next variant is the most common variant. It boosts appeal of the same attribute. It is very unlikely that all 3 members in your main strategy belong to the same attribute. Either you don't have enough members, or even when you do, top tier scorers come from different attributes. Some scorers are so good they outperform other scorers despite not matching attribute. By the way, matching attribute to the song gives 20% more voltage. The coverage of this variant is not as good, but if they can support the main strategy, it is still better than nothing. Do note that same attribute passive has a higher percentage than all member passive. If you somehow manage to build your main strategy with one attribute, then this will do better than all member passive. But like I said, very unlikely that will happen. As for the next variant, instead of boosting same attribute, it boosts the same type, meaning a voltage type will boost other voltage type. Surprisingly, this passive is restricted to SRs only, but I find it way more useful than same attribute boost passive. Voltage type is more likely to be used as your scorer because they usually have high appeal, and their voltage type merit gives a 5% boost to voltage gain to the entire team. In my case, 2 of my scorers are voltage type, and the SR members that have the same type boost passive are also voltage type. I still want to remind you that being a voltage type has an advantage at scoring, but it's not always the case. Some voltage type have bad appeal, and even if skill type has a 5% voltage demerit, if some of them have appeal high enough, they perform better than voltage type. That's also the reason why I include skill type members in my offensive UR tier list. Choose your scorer based on stats, not type. Back to supporting members. Contrary to our common sense, a full UR team is not always the best way to build a team. If you put a UR member that does not provide any boost to your main strategy, it is simply a waste of slots. Even if the supporting member you use is SR rarity, if she can provide boost to your main strategy, putting an SR member is better than putting a UR in the side. Cleansers are another type of support member. I've talked about them in another video, so I'll briefly go through this. Removing a negative life gimmick gives you back 10 to 20% appeal. Any song with cleansable life gimmick should be tackled with a cleanser in your team. As for uncleansable life gimmick, there's nothing you can do, so you should just replace it with an appeal boost member. If you don't have supporting members that can boost appeal, boosting technique still works, but do note that it doesn't give as much voltage as appeal, and I'm going to explain why. Technique affects 2 things. Number 1, it affects XP voltage. The calculation for XP voltage is complicated. It follows this equation. I will fully explain this in a later part, but right now, let's have a simple look at it. At first look, we can see that SP voltage is affected by both technique and appeal. But technique affects SP voltage 20% more than appeal. This means high technique members are more favorable than high appeal members in terms of SP voltage. This UR Hanamaru with high technique is going to do better than this UR Setsuna who has high appeal. But which member in the team affects SP voltage? The middle 3 members. SP voltage is affected by technique and appeal of members in the middle 3 positions. The other 6 positions will not be considered when calculating SP voltage. Only the center 3 position will affect it. This is kind of like how only the appeal of members in the active strategy will affect your voltage gain. The members in the middle 3 position can be from any strategy. They can even come from 3 different strategies. What strategy the members in the middle 3 positions are in will not affect SP voltage. You don't have to put members in the center 3 position in the same strategy. I saw lots of players forcing the middle 3 members in the same strategy when they have other better members to put in. Putting the high appeal member is fine, but healer or shooter and the supporting members, no, they usually have low appeal and technique. So how to organize the middle 3 positions? I recommend filling it with the 2 high appeal members from your main strategy and 1 high technique member. I know it doesn't give as much SP voltage as using 3 high technique members, but the thing is, investing in appeal for higher voltage per node is overall more efficient than investing in technique for higher SP. Having 3 high technique members also means using 3 spaces that would otherwise be filled with supporting members. Using supporting members that increases the appeal of your main strategy is better than using high technique members that increases SP voltage. Investing in appeal is overall better than SP voltage, but you can't completely ignore it. Using the high appeal members in your main strategy gives a decent amount of SP, but because there are only 2 of high appeal members in your team, you need to fill the remaining slot in the middle tree. The healer or shooter and supporting members are not good, that's where a high technique member comes in. This is the reason why I suggest 2 high appeal members and 1 high technique. Because your team only has 2 high appeal members, you need 1 more high technique member to fill the middle. But simply having high technique does not always mean the member is the best in the military positions, since SP voltage is also affected by appeal. For example, Ellie has higher technique than Kanan, but replacing Ellie with Kanan actually lowers my SP voltage. Why? Because Kanan's appeal is so high that she's better than Ellie despite having lower technique. Members with exceptionally high appeal will win members with high technique. The second thing technique affects is critical rate. Crit rate is how frequent a member hits a critical node. Critical nodes happen by chance and it increases voltage gain by 50%. The calculation of crit rate is simple. 100 technique equals to 0.3% crit rate, 1000 technique equals to 3%. There is one more rule to crit rate calculation. If a member has technique as the highest stat of the tree, she will receive an extra 50% boost to the crit rate. Police Kotori and Party Kotori have different stats with each other. Police Kotori has higher technique while Party Kotori has higher appeal. You can see that Police Kotori has higher crit rate due to her higher technique, but let's make their technique similar to each other. As you can see, although Party Kotori now has 14 higher technique than Police Kotori, Party Kotori still has lower crit rate. This is because technique is the highest stat for Police Kotori, but not for Party Kotori. Their difference in crit rate is about 15%. Members with technique as their highest stat will always have higher crit rate. Does that mean high technique members are good because of high crit rate? Kind of. They are better than you think, but they are still not better than typical high appeal members. The thing is, no matter how often a member can crit, their appeal is too low for the voltage generated from a crit to be exceptionally high. High crit rate is nothing without high appeal. The effectiveness of crit rate increases exponentially as appeal goes higher. Members with high appeal will get a huge boost from crit rate, but for members with low appeal, it's no use even if the crit rate is high. Right now, Fast Angel Kotori is the only member that benefits well from high crit rate because her appeal is good enough. I would like to talk about the healer or shooter in your main strategy, but this role is more song dependent. There is more variety of choices for this role depending on what song you're playing, so I have to leave this topic to later parts. I've talked about them in my stamina members video, so I'm just gonna refresh it quickly. When your stamina drops from green to yellow, you gain less voltage. Healers and shooters prevent your stamina from falling below green level, thus preventing the voltage penalty. They prevent you from gaining less voltage than you should. Your healer or shooter must be able to keep your stamina at green level. But you don't have to completely rely on your healer or shooter to maintain your stamina. Having high team stamina reduces the burden of that. Stamina is the only stat that is contributed by every member in your team in this one strategy meta. If your stamina is too low, it is very hard to maintain your stamina at green level even with good healers or shooters. To prevent that, your supporting members don't need to have very high stamina, just make sure you upgrade them so that their stamina is not too bad. Investing a little bit in stamina is an efficient way of maximizing voltage, but any investment beyond that will be completely useless. You just need to have high enough stamina to maintain at green level. Here's the conclusion to this part. You always want to choose a main strategy consisting of 2 high appeal members and 1 healer or shooter. High appeal members for voltage, healer or shooter for maintaining your stamina at green level. Having high team stamina also helps. The middle tree position affects SP voltage. High technique members are preferred. The most common way of filling the center tree positions is the 2 high appeal members in your main strategy and 1 high technique member. The rest of the team should be filled with members that support your main strategy. That's all for this part. This part is about the general rule of team building. In the next part, I'll be talking about how to build your team to adapt to different songs. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. A huge shout out to Kash again for providing all the data I need to make this video. It is because of her I'm able to become a better player and make this video so that all of you can become a better player too. Make sure to really check her website out, link in the description. I also want to thank my very first supporter, the Bell Tolls. It is from this support that I can keep this channel alive and make more videos. If you want to support me, link in the description below. In return, I'll personalize your team for you. Also, if you are a Chinese speaker and cannot speak English well, I'm open to speak Chinese to you. If this video helps, do like and subscribe, follow my Twitter account for translation of daily drama, and stay tuned for the next part of this guide.